Shabbat Shalom to everyone. This story was written by a Christian minister named Max Lucado. I think he has a maybe syndicated show. I don't know. He's but a very talented man. Let me share with you the story that he wrote. A little boy had been given a slingshot for his birthday, and he loved it and practiced every day aiming at different objects. During the summer, he and his sister would spend a lot of time at their grandmother's house. And one day he was out in her backyard, he spied his grandma's pet duck. On impulse, he took out his slingshot, took aim, and hit the duck with a stone. The duck died. He had killed it. Then he panicked, and what was he to do? This was his grandmother's pet duck. She would hate him forever for having killed her pet. So he hid the bird in the woodpile. And when he looked up, there was his sister. She had been seeing it. She had seen it. She'd seen what had happened. And after lunch that day, Grandma told Sally to help with the dishes. And Sally said, "Johnny told me he wanted to help in the kitchen today. Didn't you, Johnny?" And then he leaned over and whispered to him, "Remember the duck." So Johnny did the dishes. What choice did he have? For the next several weeks, Johnny did a lot of dishes. And every once in a while, when he'd be tempted to object, his sister would whisper to him, "Remember the duck." After a while, Johnny began to wear down. He was half afraid his grandmother would learn the truth, and his guilt made it so he could hardly even get any sleep. So one day he confessed to killing the duck. "I know, Johnny," his grandma said. "I was standing at the window and saw the whole thing. Because I love you, I forgave you. I wondered how long you would let Sally make a fool of you." Johnny sinned. He felt guilty, and the guilt was paralyzing for him. It's not a complicated story. We are Johnny. We've killed the duck. Why don't we fess up? Admit our sins, confess, and offer real apology. Now, there are numerous reasons why we don't do that. The word, why don't we just say, "I've sinned"? I've sinned. I think killing a duck is sinning. I think it's a sin even if you're going to eat it. There are numerous reasons why we don't live up to our sins. The word sin itself is scary. It evokes a feeling of God who is punitive and that it isn't pleasant to think about. We don't want to accept the consequences of our actions. We're humiliated by the fact that we did something wrong. We doubt that we can make corrections. We're worried about our reputation. We just don't want bad news about ourselves. And worse, we don't think that we did anything wrong. We're deniers. And that is getting to, I want to use a current political figure as an example, but I'm not. But that's taking us to the kind of sociopathic level. So on the high holidays, especially on Shabbat Shuvah, this period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we're mindful of all of this. And on Yom Kippur, our liturgy includes these words. "We are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free from sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong." That's what the liturgy says. That was one of the sections we had that I didn't want to eliminate. Remember I said we have, because I was looking, I said we can't eliminate that. This is like the meat of the service. "We are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free from sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong." Simple, honest, direct. We need to be quite precise in how we handle apology. It's easy to get it wrong or pretend that we're apologizing, but it's fake. Let me give you the great fake apology of 5782. This past year, Governor Andrew Cuomo had to resign. And of course, as a New Yorker, I followed this like it was the biblical portion. He resigned over a barrage of sexual harassment allegations, and they were serious and reprehensible. And true. He emphatically denied intentionally mistreating women and called the pressure for his ouster politically motivated. Then he shows up in a black church, in I guess it was in Brooklyn or Queens, and he wasn't even invited. He just showed up. And he offered this faux apology. If anything he said may, quote, have been misinterpreted as unwanted flirtation, close quote, he apologizes and then continued on berating the people who held him accountable. Why couldn't he just admit he'd sinned and accept the consequences? Probably still would have been governor. So how do we offer an A-plus apology? Harriet Lerner, a psychologist, is the author of Why Won't You Apologize, Healing Big Betrayals and Everyday Hurts. And she offers 9 principles of apology. I think this is a good thing to learn in Shabbat Shuvah. And if you like them, just share it with anyone who walks in the synagogue, because they're going to need it. Okay, a true apology. A true apology does not include the word but. I'm sorry, but. But automatically cancels out an apology and nearly always introduces a criticism or excuse. I'm sorry, but the reporters have, whatever. A true apology keeps the focus on your actions and not on the other person's response. For example, quote, I'm sorry that you felt hurt by what I said at the party last night is not an apology. Try instead, I'm sorry about what I said at the party last night. It was insensitive and uncalled for. Own your behavior and apologize for it, period. A true apology does not overdo. It stays focused on acknowledging the feelings of the hurt party without overshadowing them with your own pain or remorse. Number 4, a true apology doesn't get caught up in who's to blame or who started it. Maybe you were only 14% to blame, and maybe the other person provoked you. It can still help to simply say, I'm sorry for my part in this. Number 5, a true apology needs to be backed by corrective action. Very Jewish part of this. If your sister mentioned she paid for your last few dinners together, apologize and let her know that you planned to pay for the next few. Number 6, a true apology requires that you do your best to avoid a repeat performance. Again, this is just from, this very thoughtful psychologist took this from Maimonides. I mean, it's like everything is from Maimonides. Obviously, it doesn't help to apologize with a grand flourish and then continue the very behavior you apologize for. Passionate expression of remorse are empty if you don't put sincere effort into ensuring that there is no repeat performance. Got 3 more. A true apology should not serve to silence another person. I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry at least 10 times, so why are you still bringing up the affair? Nor should an apology be used as a quick way out to get yourself out of a difficult conversation or dispute. You can't use it to get out of something. Number 8, a true apology should not be offered to make you feel better if it risks making the hurt party feel worse. Not all apologies are welcome. Making amends may be part of your healing process, but find another way to heal if the other person doesn't want to hear from you. And finally, a true apology recognizes when I'm sorry is not enough. A serious hurt or betrayal requires repair work over time to restore trust. In other words, apology is part of the process of tshuva, but you have to repair the damage the best you can and not repeat it. Okay, I think those are good. Do you want an example of a good apology? And then I'm going to stop. Yeah, do you want one? You're going to be shocked where I got this from. But I've been thinking about this, and then I went back and I found it, and then I'm going to share this with you. You know who gave a good apology? Tiger Woods. You're very excited about this, I can tell. Okay, so you know this. You'll hear what happens by what he said. He calls this news conference. He says, I want to say to each of you simply and directly, I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in. All of his multiple affairs and, all kinds of crazy stuff. I know people want to find out how I could be so selfish or so foolish. People want to know how I could have done these things to my wife, Ellen, and to my children. And while I always try to be a private person, there are some things I want to say. Ellen and I have started the process of discussing the damage caused by my behavior. And she pointed out to me my real apology to her will not come in the form of words. It will come from my behavior over time. We have a lot to discuss. However, what we say to each other will remain between the two of us. Okay. I am also aware of the pain my behavior has caused to those of you in this room. I've let you down. I've let down my fans. And for many of you, especially my friends, my behavior has been a personal disappointment. To those who have worked with me, I've let you down personally and professionally. My behavior has caused considerable worry to my business partner. He goes on and on and on. He just says it. Now, has he really done tshuva? I have no idea. I really don't have an idea. I really don't care at this moment. Obviously, I hope he has. But there's no hemming and hawing. You can't put Tiger Woods' apology here next to Governor Cuomo. I mean, Governor Cuomo is a disgrace. I think this psychologist's guidelines are on target. We need to be mindful of those guidelines. If apology is central to Yom Kippur, we need to get it right. They are important standards for what we need to do. And it's time for all of us, and we don't have to do something horrendous to have to go through this. It's time for stopping evasion and rationalizing and denial, because we need to fine-tune our apology skills because we all really need them. Shabbat Shalom.